computer. Om Jnana Timinandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Militanyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Okay, so we are continuing with our weekly Bhagavad Gita reading and discussion. We are in chapter 9, the hidden treasure of devotion, and we're going to pick up from verse 18. Oh, thank you so much, Goshalia. Bringing me some water, kind. They're doing a program. Madhusudan Maharaj is here, and we have quite a few visitors. They're doing a program. Well, we can maybe walk down and say hello later. Okay, so we'll pick up from verse 18. Jayadev has joined us. Wonderful. Natir Bharta Prabhu Sakshi Nivasa Sharanam Suhit Prabhava Pralayasthanam Nidanam Bijam Avyayam Tapamyaham Aham Varsham Nigranam Yutrajamicha Amritam Chaiva Sada Shachaham Arjuna Trividyamam Somapa Bhutta Papa Yagyerishtva Sargatam Prartayante Te Punyam Asadya Sadanjalokam Ashnanti Divyam Divi Deva Bhogam Etam Bhuktva Svargalokam Vishalam Kshine Punyam Arjalokam Vishanti Evam Jai Dharma Manuprapana Gata Gatam Kama Kama Labante Ananyas Chintayanto Mam Ye Janapa Yupasate Tesham Nityabhiyuktanam Yogakshemam Vahamyaham. Very special verse, this last verse that we just read, often quoted by our gurus. Well, I see Suvasini Didi has just joined us. Suvasini Didi, Dandavat. Would you read those translations for us, Didi? So 18 to 22.
I just have to take that page. I'm not ready. Just take the Bhagavad Gita 1 second. Don't know versions. 18 to 22, yeah?
That's right, yes.
Okay, just a second. Okay, yeah. So, 18. And I am the goal, the maintainer, master, witness, refuge, guardian, and true friend. I am the universal manifestation, sustenance, and withdrawal. I am the reservoir. I am the original seed. I am the imperishable Supreme Lord. 19. O Arjuna, I give heat, and rain comes and goes by my will. I am immortality and death, and I am truth and untruth. Number 20. Persons who perform the fruitive ritualistic sacrifices prescribed in 3 of the Vedas worship Indra and other demigods. In fact, they worship me, but in an indirect way. They drink the sacrificial remnants of the Soma beverage, purify themselves of sin, and pray to attain the heavenly plane. As a result of their piety, they reach heaven and enjoy celestial pleasures. 21. After enjoying the vast heavenly plane, upon the exhaustion of their pious merits, they return to the human plane. In this way, persons desiring enjoyment who follow the Vedic rituals for demigod worship come and go. They undergo repeated birth and death in this material world. And 22, I bear the responsibility of acquiring and protecting the necessities of my fully dependent devotees who are always absorbed in thought of me and who worship me in every way.
Very nice. Thank you, Sivasana Didi. Anyone have any comments, thoughts, questions come up from these verses? Oh, so we have options, right? So Tungarasa's put a comment. Dandavad, Tungarasa, can you explain 19? I give heat and the rain comes and goes by my will. I am immortality and death. I am truth and untruth. So how you're saying, can we explain that? Well, in a simply put, we can say that, oh, I am truth and untruth. Yes, I was thinking that might be what you're getting to. Because Krishna is everything. You know, everything is coming from Krishna. He is the source of everything, and you can't get away from him. You can't avoid him. One point which comes to mind is that, you know, he ultimately gives everyone what they want. And in order to enjoy a false sense of independence, you know, he supplies us the necessary untruth to support that illusion, right? You know, Krishna comes as Lord Buddha, you know, and tells everyone to dismiss the Vedas, right? He comes and propounds Buddhism, you know, that there's no God, and propounds nirvana, extinction of the self, as the highest goal, and ahimsa parama dharma as the highest practice, non-violence, right? So Krishna himself is bewildering people to serve some broader purpose, right? He's giving, there's this other verse in Bhagavad Gita, ye yatamam prapadyante tamstataiva bhajamyaham mama vartmanuvartante. And what is the last line? Suvasana knows, of course. Manusha Partha Sarvashaya. Thank you, Didi. So he's saying that howsoever someone approaches me, so I will approach them. And everyone is following me, right? In one way or another. So as someone reads, if someone comes to me with sincerity, I will respond in kind. If someone comes to me wanting the highest truth, I will give that to them. But if someone is not ready for the highest truth, someone has some self-interest, no, then I will give them that. I will help them. You don't want to believe atheism comes from God. Like, can we get with that? How accommodating is he? How tolerant is he? No. So Jayadev is saying it could be translated as temporary and eternal. Yes, that is a helpful way to see it too. There's temporary truth and there's absolute truth, right? Everything is true, but which truth do you want to believe in? That of an eternal nature or that of a temporary nature? An eternal means that it is based on the spirit of dedication, of awareness of the true nature of the whole, right? And that is sustainable, right? No. But if you want to live a life of self-interest, then that is not sustainable because you're not at the center. So necessarily that must be a temporary truth, a temporary value. But that's what you want right now, right? So the Lord is accommodating us for our sake. And you know, in this whole system that's described in the Vedas, that's being described here, that is given in the Vedas, no, that's also for that purpose. No. People want to enjoy in this world, then the Lord is giving some system by which they can do that. But it's a very clever system in that it's a regulated type of enjoyment. It's not totally out of control. And there's some connection with higher truth. So it's giving the opportunity for persons to to gradually ascend, to higher and higher truths. Like, I'll give you a very nice example, the example of Narada Muni, right? That there's this incident described in the scriptures that, Narada Muni, I think most of you know, he's this wandering sage who has this special blessing, to move throughout all spheres of existence, spiritual, material, and great saints. And so on one occasion, he's walking through the forest and he comes across a hunter. Well, he comes across many animals who are on the path and scattered around the forest area, who are half dead, writhing in pain. It's one thing to see a dead animal, but to see an animal that's half dead, it's a horrible thing. How much suffering there. If you kill someone, it's over in an instant, right? But if you half kill them, that is very torturous, very cruel. So Narada is observing around the forest grounds all these animals writhing in pain, and he's very unhappy to see that. And he's walking along, seeing, what is the cause? And then he comes across this hunter, and the hunter, he's a little irritated because Narada, by his movements, he was alerting some of the animals around, right? And that, there are people here and they're running away. So the hunter was a little annoyed. But he has some culture, so he says to Narada, Sadhu, what can I do for you? And he offers to give him some animal skins, would you like some deer skins or tiger skins? And Narada says, no, I'm not very interested. No. And Narada is observing the situation and seeing this man is a very ignorant man and engaging in such cruel behavior, and he's contemplating, how can I help him? And he says to the hunter, are you, why are you doing this? And the hunter explains, well, this is just how I was raised, this is my culture. My father did this, and this is what he taught me, and so this is what I'm doing. And then Narada, he tells him, well, are you aware that you're going to have to pay the price for that? Any suffering that you inflict on others, you're going to have to pay for that. Have you thought about that? Like every last bit of pain that you give to someone else, you're going to have to suffer in return. So have you thought about that? What are you going to do about that? And the hunter, it hadn't occurred to him. And so he became very sober and thoughtful and thinking, and what will I do with all this sin that I've accumulated? And so then he asks Narada, what do you think I can do to save myself? And then Narada, he said to him, I will just ask one thing of you. Please, just kill the animals all the way. He tells him, please just kill them completely. He doesn't tell the hunter, give up killing animals altogether. That's too far of a jump for him, right? So he's very clever. He just says, just kill the animals all the way. That way, you have some less karma to deal with, and you're causing less suffering to these poor animals. So just kill them all the way. Don't do just this half-killing thing. This is terrible, terrible. So then they have some further discussion, and the hunters, having the association of Narada, and his eyes are opening and he's being thoughtful. And then he begins to feel, well, maybe I could do better than this altogether. And so then he inquires from Narada, more, please tell me more. I really want to live a good life. Please give me some higher teachings and what is your real instruction? And then finally Narada tells him, give it all up, make a place of worship for yourself, serve this Tulasi plant, take the names of the Lord. And the man says, what about food? And Narada says, don't worry, all the local villagers, they'll take care of you. They'll take care of you. And then Narada went on his way. And sure enough, the local people, in fact, they were so impressed to see the transformation of this hunter. They would bring more than enough food for him to eat. And so he lived, with all his needs met and a happy life of devotion. And then sometime later, perhaps a year or so later, the Narada returned. And he came with his friend. I believe it was one of his friends. I believe it was Parvat Muni. And they saw they came to visit, right? They're in the area, and Narada thought, oh, let me go and visit this. What was it, Murgari? Maybe someone remembers. Was it Murgari, his name? Radhana Rupini's nodding her head. Murgari the hunter. And they see, and so they're in the neighborhood. So Narada thinks, oh, let me go and visit my disciple, Murgari. So they go, and then they're approaching him. They see him from a distance. And when the hunter sees his guru, he's so joyful and excited. He comes running towards him. However, he's kind of hopping a little bit in this awkward way. He's moving a little bit in a zigzag way as he's trying to run on the path. And Narada and Parvati are looking or peering, curious, why is he jumping like that in this funny way? And they realize that he's trying to avoid stepping on any insects. So this wholesale transformation has taken place within him. He went from this cruel action of half killing animals to becoming so sensitive, he doesn't even want to step on the ants, crawling on the path. And so he has a happy reunion with his guru. So it is a very interesting point here that Narada in the beginning did not tell him the full truth, right? Because he wasn't ready for that. So you could say he told him something of a lie. But it's also true. The lie is also true because it's serving some higher purpose, right? So first he gives a lower instruction to the hunter. And then some hard transformations taking place. The hunter's ready for more. And then he's giving something more. So it is like that. The Lord sometimes has to lie to us in order to help us come to a higher truth. And sometimes he has to pander to our whims. He's mercifully accommodating and pandering to our whimsical desires because that's where we are, and then we have to learn from our mistakes, right? You cannot always just tell a child the fire burns. The child may need to put their finger in the fire and learn for themselves. So we need to come to that point of exhaustion where we realize, oh, there's nothing here. There's nothing here. We need to become materially exhausted. Realize that our selfishness, self-centered living, it takes us nowhere. Takes us nowhere. So then the Lord, everything is coming from him, truth, untruth, darkness, light. And that darkness and that untruth is also standing to enhance the brightness, right? The truth. It all had, the relative and the absolute, right? They all have their place within the whole. So it's just a matter of take your pick. What do you choose to believe in? We are free to choose. Everything has its validity, but it is also not equal. There's gradation there, but you can choose what reality do you want to interface with, and and what's being described here are one section of Hindus who they know how to play the system. They work the system, right? This karma kanda section, right? They are desiring enjoyment. They follow the Vedic rituals for demigod worship. Come and go. They undergo repeated birth and death. So this is a section of persons. They know how this whole system works, right? This is the advantage that Indians have. They know how the whole system works. But they have the desire for enjoyment. So they're enjoying in a clever and regulated way, so as to minimize the reactions they have to suffer, right? So they're engaging in particular rituals and sacrifices, worship, offerings, which are going to improve their situation in the afterlife, in the future births, so they can have their cake and eat it too. But what's the caveat here? They have to remain within this whole fishbowl of samsara, up and down, birth and death, and all these things, It's also a risky game. It's a very risky game, because you may have it all planned out, but something could go wrong at any time. Your mundane desires can overcome you, bring you out of control and get you into serious trouble. It's a dangerous game, playing with mundane desire. And ultimately it's untruth, dealing with untruth, temporary truth, relative truth, pertaining to this encasement. This body is just a dress. It is just a covering. We want to deal with the person within, right? So by the grace of the sadhus, that inner inquisitiveness will awaken within us. Atato Brahma Jigyasa, right? And this is the beginning of the Vedanta Sutra, the penultimate text of the Vedas. Atato Brahma Jigyasa. Now that you're totally fried, you realize it's all a waste of time. Now search after spirit. Now search after spirit. Search after higher knowledge. And then once that gets dry, what is next? Atato Rasa Jigyasa, that is given by Srimad Bhagavatam. The fulfillment of the heart. Fulfillment of the just dry spirits. That's not enough, but we need rasa. We need joy. Fulfillment of spiritual love and heart. Spiritual relationship with the Lord. Devotion, the plane of devotion. So Atato Rasa Jigyasa, this other search is introduced by Srimad Bhagavatam. Now that you're established within the plane of spirit, come to this higher type of enjoyment, this higher play. You've been through the mundane enjoyment, the mundane play. Then you came to the plane of spirit, but then you realize that is not sufficient. Right? And just to exist in immortality, that is not sufficient. Right? Sat, Chit, Ananda, eternity, consciousness, bliss. We need bliss. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj gives a wonderful explanation of this, and I believe Loving Search for the Lost Servant, where he's no, Bhakta Jim, no, that's not in Vedanta Sutra, that Tata Rasa Jigyasa. No, this isn't Srila Sridhar Maharaj. He coins this. The first, the second aphorism of Vedanta Sutra is actually Janmad Yasya Yataha, that from which everything has come, everything is born. Now I'm referring to the introduction to Search for Sri Krishna, Reality the Beautiful. And Srila is very wonderful, highly recommended. Maybe we can read that even now. But there, Srila Sridhar Maharaj is everything I've just said, I'm kind of like drawing from that introduction. Srila Sridhar Maharaj is saying how, Srimad Bhagavatam is upping the game. The search, Vedanta Sutra is giving us a search after spirit. This is more or less the contribution of the Vedanta Sutra, pure, the interaction with pure spirit, appreciation, search after spirit. But ultimately, that's not what our heart is hankering after. There's no rasa there. There's no juice. There's no relationship with the Lord. So that's given in Srimad Bhagavatam. So Srila Sridhar Maharaj says Srimad Bhagavatam has replaced that search for Brahma, for spirit. Srimad Bhagavatam is replacing the search for dry spirit with the search for rasa. This is a higher thing and a finer thing. But it is difficult to appreciate rasa. Why? Because it parallels mundane taste, mundane pleasure, mundane experience. So that's why, it is, from one perspective, it may be considered preferable to go in this route. First come to spirit, then enter the plane of rasa. Then you can appreciate what it is, that it's not a mundane thing. So that, from one perspective, that is a safer route to follow. But at the same time, we are told that one doesn't need to wait for that. We don't have to wait to become realized, enlightened sages. No, that's not the program. But stane stito shutita tam tanuvan manobir. This is bhakti. Bhakti is all inclusive, all accommodating. From wherever you are, from wherever you are, whoever you are, whatever you are, begin hearing that divine message. Just begin hearing that. Begin that culture from whatever point you are at. However, if you see the way in which the Vedas are presenting this, if you look at how Bhagavad Gita is structured, right? There is this, like, first get established in the plane of spirit, right? This is a safer way to understand this whole thing. The second, very beginning, the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita is all about soul. Understand your Atma. That's the first thing. And then we have teachings of karma yoga, right? Selfless action. Become a selfless human being. Then you have teachings of jnana yoga, right? Then culture, understanding of the spirit, then bhakti, right? So we see that type of order, methodology in the presentation of bhakti, the scriptures. But it's not that. That is the way it has to be. You can do sarva dharma and prityaja from any point. Give up everything and come to me from any point. So, but going back to what I was saying about Sat, Chit, and Ananda, Srila Sridhar Maharaj gives this wonderful explanation in Loving Search for the Lost Servant. That, so we are told that these are the three components of the soul, right? Eternity, to be eternal, Chit, consciousness, and Ananda, joy, right? So Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he expresses there, to simply exist, in immortality, doesn't have any meaning. Like a stone or tree, may exist for so many ages of time, but just to exist for so long doesn't have so much purpose. So then higher than that is when existence is endowed with consciousness. That is something higher. Chit. But then consciousness by itself is also not enough. Just to be aware. That becomes dry. Right? To be in a state of perfect cognizance, perfect awareness, that will become dry. So then Srila Sridhar Maharaj says, when one is enriched with consciousness, then one can search after their own good, which is joy. The nature of consciousness is to seek after joy. The fulfillment of consciousness is in Ananda, joy, ecstasy, bliss, happiness. So that is the highest substance, joy, the fulfillment of the heart. And that is being given by Srimad Bhagavatam. But again, the tricky thing is that it parallels the mundane joy in so many ways, mundane emotion, mundane love. So it is a tricky thing. It is a tricky thing. So this is the gift of our gurus. This is the gift of Srimad Bhagavatam, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So as I was saying, when we first went through these verses, we're being given a choice here. Like, which What do you want to do? You want to live as an independent being, cycling in this world, dealing in the plane of the body and the senses, enjoying with that, and continuing in this cycle of birth and death? Or then we come to this verse 22, a very beautiful verse. Krishna is saying, but you can, like, there are some people who are following this program, but the people who are fully surrendered to me, I take care of their every need. This 22, Ananyas Chintayanto Mam Ye Jana Paripasante Tesham Nityabhiyuktanam Yogakshemam Mahamyaham. Very beautiful, beautiful verse. Very beautiful, very encouraging and loving expression of the Lord, And it's a reassurance, to the Lord's devotees. And it's also related to this verse, which we just mentioned, Sarva Dharmam Prityaja, right? Mamekam Sharanam Raja. That, Ham Tvam Sarva Papebhyo Mokshaya Shami Ma Shuchaha. That, this idea that, if we approach the Lord, we may have to take some risk, right? Give something up. If we neglect our ordinary duties or neglect ourselves in some way, but the Lord is giving this reassurance, I will take care of you. I will take care of you. I will compensate. I will give the compensation. I will take care of all those things. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he gives this also related to this idea that Srila Sridhar Maharaj gives this wonderful explanation how, sometimes we have to give up something gross in order to go to something more subtle, right? And apparently we are limiting ourselves, but we're actually approaching a broader sphere. And one example which I use sometimes is like, say you're a successful school teacher, right? And you've been offered a post. Let's say you've been offered a post in the ministry, in the government ministry of education, right? And all your students are going to be heartbroken, right? If you leave them, you leave your class. Maybe some of them even won't worse, they won't do so well without you now that you're gone. However, you're being given a post where you can affect more influence, right? Does that make sense? Probably bad English. I'm sorry, Marie. It's okay. I see we have a few hands raised. I'll get to you in a moment. You are now in a position where you in a position of greater influence, where you can do greater good on a greater scale for a greater number of students throughout the country, throughout the nation, right? But there's some small number who have to suffer to some degree, right? But in the bigger picture, there are more who will gain, right? And the overall atmosphere will also improve. The overall policy will improve. So in the same way, we may, like some of our immediate local obligations, we may neglect them to go approach some higher spiritual duty. And then there may be some who suffer as a result of that. But in a broader sense, we are going to be benefiting them and the overall environment more. So this is the nature of giving to the center, giving our energy to the central interest, just like that. Okay, we have two hands raised. I think Scarlett was first, and then we'll go to Jim afterwards. Okay, please.
Hare Krishna.
Thank
you for a wonderful class. There are, okay, I will talk about my example. I had no idea before I learned from the Bhagavad Gita anything about how you live. It will give result in the form of karma and so on. It was another way I have learned. I have learned that when you do bad thing, you're going to hell. Okay, but it was not when you do bad thing to other people, you're going to hell. If you don't like your mother or father or respect them, then you're going to hell. Such a thing I learned, yes, but not the way it was in the Bhagavad Gita. When I learned from Bhagavad Gita, then I learned a lot about our choice that we have chosen to do things that gives the result in the form of karma and so on. But what I wonder, when you don't know about something, when you don't know about, for instance, if you sit in a way, then it can give you a bad result, and when you sit other way, then it's going to give you a good result. Without knowing it, you're doing it, but you don't know about it. You don't know that it's wrong. But when you know that it's wrong, then you stop doing it. And then you're coming to the Krishna consciousness. Does this mean that if the person doing from the time that the person have learned about Krishna consciousness and Bhagavad Gita and practice all that the person can and do everything that it says that one should be active in, does this mean that this person will not come back, will not be born again?
You know, Scarlett, we have to, you know, I understand that the material world, it's a place of suffering, and you know that, and having gone through various traumas in our life, it can make us very desirous of leaving this world, right? But Krishna consciousness is about love. You know, Krishna consciousness is about beauty. And so we have to try to move away from this kind of perspective. You know, it's like, think of it like this. Say you've met someone, say you've met a friend, and you want to develop your relationship, you want to develop your friendship. Now, why are you doing it? Is it because you need something from them? You know, like think like a business deal. Like say, think of the difference between a business partner and your friend, right? If you're doing business with someone, then you have to calculate certain things. Or how can I make them happy so that they'll give me the deal that I want, right? No, I wanna make this much money on this deal, and I want to arrange things in this way and that way. So what do I need to give? How much do I have to give up? How much do I have to compromise, you know, to get the result that I want? There's going to be this kind of calculation, right? But if you try and do that with your friends, they will be very hurt. You know, like for example, let's say you give a flower to your mother out of love, and your mother says, "Why are you giving that to me?" "Oh, I know why you did that, because you did this bad thing and you want me to forgive you, and I know why you're doing this." Then you'll be hurt. "Mom, I just wanted to give you some roses. You know, I love you, Mom." You know, or with your friend or with a lover or whatever it may be. Oh, it's all based on love. So this is something that is easy to forget in Krishna consciousness, very easy to forget, because we've been, you know, kind of indoctrinated with, you know, religion as this kind of impersonal structure that we're following, right? To uplift us. We need to get away from that. Krishna is a person. We're trying to build a relationship with him. It's about love. And okay, now in our stage, perhaps we cannot have a direct personal relationship with him or the residents of Goloka Vrindavan, but we are trying to approach this practice with this spirit of affection, and we can have some experience of that through the devotees of Krishna, you know, through Guru and Vaishnava. They want our hearts. They don't want our fear. You know, fear-based devotion or calculating devotion doesn't have a place here. You know, we want to chant Krishna's name not because we're afraid of being born again, but we want to chant Krishna's name with affection in our heart. Affection for the Lord, affection for Guru, affection for the Vaishnavas. No, it needs to come from that place, you know. And yes, you know, behind all of that, you can say, yes, one will eventually, they will become free from this world. But we don't want to think about what is Yamaraj counting, you know. What are the Vishnu Dutas, the Yama Dutas? We don't want to think like that.
The thing is like that. I give you an example. For instance, someone has been imprisoned without knowing why. Tortured, beaten, everything bad happened to this person in prison. But the person in prison doesn't know why this person is in prison, why he got evicted. But he's there and tortured, and happened, a lot of things happen to this person. Then this person gets free. Somehow this person come out of prison and gets free. Then can I ask you how this person can develop love for president, for the king, and for the minister of the country who has put her or him in the prison from the first place without knowing why?
Mm-hmm.
So how can one develop that love? You understand what I mean?
Yes, you've given a very good analogy. It's a very good analogy. And I can say the answer, but it is a bitter pill. It is a bitter pill. And the answer is that we must accept that somehow or other we are responsible. That is the bitter pill. Difficult to swallow. No, tattenu kampam susamik shamano bunjane vatma kritam vipakam hridvagva purbir vidadanda maste jiveta yo mukti pade sa dayabak. This is Srimad Bhagavatam verse. It is telling what is the key to liberation. Who is an heir to freedom, to mukti, to liberation? That we must accept that I am responsible, that by my own activity in previous lives, I have brought this about. I brought this upon myself. This has come because of that. You know? And also that the Lord is not a vengeful Lord. The Lord is not out to get me, to punish me, but my Lord has affection for me. My Lord has affection for me. And he wants to grace my soul. My body, my mind, my ego, they may have been smashed. But we are living on the bodily platform. So that is a very painful thing to go through. But we are also more than that. You know, we want to remember whatever our body has gone through, that is distinct from our soul. My Lord wants to give his grace, wants to bestow his grace upon my soul. And he has affection for me. This is the true path of progress. You know? We can also say, you know, don't cry over spilled milk, spilled milk, right? What's done is done. What's happened has happened. Now let me move on. Let me embrace a life of beauty and love. Can I have the courage to embrace a higher life of love? We will create our own realities. We create our own realities. So whatever, I don't want to be a victim of my past. Whatever happened, happened. You know, and I must have some degree of responsibility there. I must be responsible for that. You know? But now let me move forward. You know, like, you know, sometimes we see these like films or dramas or like there's like a whole revenge plot, right? It's all about having revenge, you know, and I just think, you know, so sad, like you're wasting your time. You have this opportunity. Now you have freedom. Now live a life of beauty and love. Whatever happened, happened, and we must accept our own responsibility there. But We don't need to go and analyze all the details of who did what and who said what and who caused this to happen. And it all happened in whatsoever form. I must accept my part to play in all of that, but let me move forward now. The chains are off of me now. Let me use that freedom to embrace a higher life. So many others I see, they're living a life of love and beauty. Let me find, how can I also live that? Let me move forward. Let me live a progressive life. And it is difficult, I know. It is painful, I know. But if we can have the courage to do that, we will radically transform our lives. And not only our lives, but the lives of so many around us. Take it that you can be a light for others, that you have survived so much and you are still standing bright. You still have the courage to love and to dedicate. That is such a wonderful, glorious thing. Sometimes the Lord also puts his devotees in difficulties in order to show how great they are. That is also mentioned, that even in the midst of such extreme challenge, their faith is strong. They have the courage to love and to live a life of beauty and giving. Nothing is deterring them from that path, that bright path. We don't want to become a victim of our circumstances. That is a sad thing. We want to stand in the light, want to shed the cobwebs, shed the darkness. That is in the past. Let me move forward now. Turn the light on, move on. It is a new day. It is a new day. It is difficult, I know, but it is not impossible. It is not impossible. It is possible. So be glorious, be beautiful, be bright.
But I mean, you just mentioned that when you do something in the form of fear, that is not really right way and not in.
No, but you need to get away.
Not acceptable.
No, but this is the wrong total. This is the whole thing. There's no right or wrong. No, this is the whole point. Not that it's not acceptable, but let go of
because
that.
you mentioned when you give a flower to your mother, then your mother knows why you are doing it. That's why it's not the same as you do it with love. What I mean, if someone who has been in prison and have difficulty and come out, of course this person, out of respect and law abiding, wants to be 100% law abiding and do the part of being good, doing good, being good results for community, and so on and so on, and do it by respect. It's not that I do it because I want you to give me something. Just I'm doing it out of respect. I don't want anything from you, but just I'm doing it out of respect, so that I, without knowing why, I'm not going back to the prison. You know what I mean? So it's not that the person do it because wants something from the government. Just doing it out of respect, not to come to the prison again. You understand what I mean? It's not to give me money, to give me a job, to give me a house, to make me rich. It's not that looking. That way of doing because I want to be law abiding, doing because I respect. I don't want anything. I just don't want to go to the prison more. Yeah. That is not taking advantage. You understand what I mean? It's not the way to take advantage of the government. It's just that I didn't know. I don't know why I was there in the first place. Okay, you say you have to take responsibility. That is the bitter pill to take. Okay, we say that, but still, when the person has done everything right by itself, never have hurt anyone, never done anyone wrong, does everything by the humanity, good, everything, and then still doesn't know why this person has come to the prison. You understand what I mean? So that's why I want just to respect. I want to be law-abiding. I don't want anything. I don't want money. I don't want anything. So it's not taking advantage. You understand what I mean?
Yes, I understand what you're saying, Scarlett, but what I'm trying to say is that there's still some fear behind there. And we have to let go of that ultimately. But I understand that one cannot do that immediately. It may not be possible. Then I will say try to faithfully continue taking the holy name and praying for some higher grace to come and allow you to become free from that. No. But Radhana Rupini wants to say something.
Thank you.
I know that recently here in Hawaii, there was something in the news many years ago, something like 10 years ago or more than that, something like 15 to 20 years ago. There was a young girl who was abducted and left for dead on the side of the road.
Oh,
And the people that were tried and convicted of this hideous crime were put into jail, and they were in jail for, I think, 20 years, something like this. And just recently, with the advancement of science and they're able to do better DNA testing, they found out that this man that they put in jail for 20 or 30 years is not the killer.
wow.
He was in jail all that time as an innocent man.
Wow.
It was big news on our television here. And in fact, he's going to be awarded millions of dollars for the suffering he'd been to. But when I was watching this and I was talking with my husband, we were discussing that somehow or another, even if he was not the killer of this woman and it was such an innocent thing, there must have been something in his past life that's why he had to suffer in jail. You know, like so many atrocities happen to all individuals in our lives. Like, how is it possible? You know, I'm being such a good wife and my husband just left with this young French woman. You know, I did everything to the T. What did I do wrong? You know, but it's actually something that has ripened in our karma from our past life. That's why sometimes these injustices that seem unjust happen. It's our karma from our past lives. I might be wrong, Vishaka, but you can please correct me.
Well, yes, of course, what you're saying is absolutely right, you know, and it can be, it's a painful truth that we may have to confront, an uncomfortable truth, but it is the truth. It is the truth. And so that's why I feel the best policy is, you know, it also reminds me of this one comment of Srila Sridhar Maharaj that it's a little risky to approach the Department of Justice because we don't know what's going to be found out there, right? Like, let's say there was like if it was fully known to us what we did, everything we did in our past lives, that do we want to go there? Like, do we really want to do that? It's a little risky. Like, if we go to the Lord, why are you making me go through this? Like, how do I deserve this? Then that could be a horrifying, humiliating moment for that to be revealed to us. We don't want to go there. Why do we want to dig in the drain, right? So Srila Sridhar Maharaj says it's risky to approach the Department of Justice. Therefore, we should approach the Department of Mercy. Try our luck there. That's the advice. Just go to the apartment. I don't know who I am, what I am, what's within me, what was within me. I don't know what I've done, even what I'm doing, what I will do. I don't know. But my Lord, please accept me. Please give me your grace. Please engage me. Please give me your shelter. No, this is the safe and progressive approach. No, I have faith in you, my Lord. And so I know that whatever's come, it is for a reason. and now I want to go forward in my life. Please give me your grace. If you go to calculate my good and my bad, it's a little risky. I might come up short, more than a little short. It's a risky thing. So better, let's just not consider, let's throw away the file. Let's throw away the file. Just give me your grace. Don't consider that. Patra vichar nahi stana stan. We were reading this verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita the other day. This is Mahaprabhu's program. He's not considering who's fit, who's unfit to receive this, what's a suitable place, what's not a suitable place. He's just giving this mercy to everyone. We want to get on that boat. That's the safe boat for us. Let's just move forward now. I saw Jayadev had his hand raised, and I haven't forgotten about Jim, back to Jim. But Jayadev, you were going to say something.
There was a kind of line of questioning and a whole thought process, and I might cut out, but I just wanted to address with an analogy. Suppose that someone smokes cigarettes all their life, and all of a sudden they decide, they develop emphysema, and they decide, I want to get better. And they quit smoking that day, and they quit smoking for a week, and they start to be annoyed that they're not better. And they've smoked their whole life, but they're expecting to get better in 1 week. Likewise, we have been accumulating karma for endless lifetimes, developing patterns for endless lifetimes. And for us to, it would be a miracle, and it can happen for us to eradicate all that in one lifetime. But just because we're starting to live by the law doesn't mean we're suddenly everything is going to be perfect. And in fact, if we actually calculate how much time it took for us to develop this karma, then it would take that much more. That means infinite lifetimes to undo that karma. So to be, expecting it to be done in a few months or a year or a life, I want out of this material world now. I made myself right. Like it's like, no. And that's where, again, it brings back to your point of the department of mercy. Like that's the only hope, because if we tried to undo the karma of all of our past lives, living righteously for millions of lives, it would not be undone.
Yes, that's very, very good point, Jayadev. Very well articulated. Yes.